So you're in an uptrend. You're making lots of money. You're actually making money in a long position on a chart that really shouldn't be going up higher, but it just keeps going up higher and higher. And you're wondering, okay, how much higher can it really go? What are the signs and signals that the chart's probably going to be topping out? And yes, I am intentionally using the chart for SPX 6900 for the beginning of this video because this chart has had an incredible rally and it's doing a lot of the things that tick a lot of boxes for us to expect a pullback. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and I want to first welcome you here to the Coin Bureau Trading Channel. My name is Aaron Dishner from The Better Traders. Subscribe now to join me and my co-host Dan on this channel take you through the crypto universe, learning about how to become a better trader. Now, this video is going to ruffle some feathers. This video is going to go against the grain. This video actually might teach you some new things. So before I get started, make sure you take out a notebook, pencil, pen, whatever you want to use, but write down something. Literally physically write it down, because studies have proven and shown that when you write things down by hand, not just typing or like clicking stuff, when you write it down by hand, you're actually more likely to remember what you're learning. And you're going to want to remember everything I'm going to be sharing with you in today's video. So let's go back over here to this chart for SPX 6900. Now, why this chart? Well, this is the ideal chart, to be honest. Charts that have these massive, massive rallies that are going up hundreds of percent. Like, this has been an incredible rally for SPX 6900. And one of the things that I look for immediately when it comes to charts that could be topping out is, where is price-based resistance? Where is the previous rally? And to be honest, for the longest time, there wasn't anything like this at all in the chart. If we go back over here to the beginning of the chart, and we'll just say from over here, back in October 2023, we had this sideways range for a long time. And then we saw the price of SPX starting to rally. And it's interesting to note that it did see a little bit of struggle here at previous resistance, several times actually. So whenever a chart is listed, whenever it just goes crazy, it's going to hit some sort of resistance point. We're going to talk about how to identify that in a second, but we're talking about price-based resistance. And you can see in this very loosely highlighted boxed range, we can see a wick up to this range of 2 cents. We can see more price action here, trying to push above this high that was set. And let me get the Pico level just so we know, down here at 3 cents. So don't kick yourself. It's okay. I didn't even know about this way back over here. So don't worry at all. Okay, you're good. Now, the thing I'm trying to make a point of, though, is that when we have rallies, and this was a significant rally, up 1,000% from April 2024 all the way up here to July, which lasted a little over 3 months. That's a significant rally of 900%. And it would be frustrating to see it rally this much and give away a lot of those gains. This is where a lot of people starts to lose hope. Then, of course, we all know what happened after that. The chart continued to rally way higher, 15,000%. So when we pay attention to where the price struggled before, it struggled to push higher above this level, we can take that into account to go, okay, well, moving forward, we should see resistance. This does not mean that the chart's going to top out here and that's it. It's done. Not at all. Clearly, SPX rallied a whole lot higher from 2 cents. It continued to rally all the way up here to $1.79. So it rallied up another 6,485%, give or take a couple percent. So the main thing to watch out for is, when it comes up to resistance, how does the chart react? And it's normal to see pullbacks. This is a great spot if you've taken a long position and you're up 1, 2, 3, 500% and you haven't taken any profit yet. Feel comfortable taking off even just 10%. Like, that's an amazing trade, okay? And also, when the price starts to have a pullback, consider reinvesting on the pullbacks. That's something else I don't really want to talk about in this video. I want to talk more about how to identify these areas where we should be expecting resistance and the potential pullback and all that stuff. Now let's fast forward to where we are right now. Actually, we have the same thing, but just on a slower, or not a slower, but a smaller scale. We see the price of SPX top out here between $1 and $1.20. And then back over here in January 2025, it just rips right through that in a day and goes up. Well, kind of. It moves up a little bit higher, 35%. And of course, we know the rest. It struggles. It finds support at previous resistance. So we're finding support in this range. Tries again. This is typically a great exit right here. When we see a rejection, which this clearly is right here, we see it go up, it bounces, finds supports, and then it goes back up for one more try and it can't break it. Look at how many days there were, because this is the daily chart for SPX. We see a huge 51% pump January 17th. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, even 6 days. So almost a week for us to exit the position before it falls down again. We even get one more chance, and then it dumps, and it dumps, and it dumps. Now, let's go to where we are in the current rally. So looking at SPX now, it's easy to look at this and go, well, throw up our hands. That's it. The chart's completely toast. It's not going to go up any higher. But we also know, looking at this chart, that that's probably what a lot of people thought back over here. Man, this chart has already moved up from its listing price down here, basically nothing, 1,000,000%, literally 1,000,000%. But even from here, wow, the chart's already moved up 1,500%, and it retraced, it gave it all away. This is probably not going to break. And what happens next? Murad was right. It's up 100,000% from this low in February. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Now, I'm showing you this on purpose, not to make you feel bad, but to help you realize that we're going to see plenty of charts do exactly this. I have other charts I want to share with you in this video today. But this is proof that just because the price struggled at previous resistance does not discount it from rallying up higher. So what do we look for a top? Well, we want to identify when the price tops out, has a rejection, and it tries again, essentially a double top, really messy looking double top. Now, let's zoom ahead to where we are right now. We can see there's a big rally. We'll say from entering here at about 45 cents, which is where I re-entered, up, a max of 280%. I've already taken profit out on the way up, so I'm comfy leaving the rest in the position. But it's obvious that the price is struggling at historical resistance. So there is a chance that SPX could struggle and fall back from here. So we're looking at historical resistance levels to identify where we might be seeing some friction in the price. Now, I actually have a lot more that I want to share with you, but before I do, we're talking about trading. We're talking about taking advantage of moves to the upside and to the downside. And if you don't have a great non-KYC exchange, I highly recommend checking out CoinCatch or Tubit. Both are available to people that are in North America. When you sign up with these links, you get access to some special bonuses. And apparently I am mooing Papa. That's fun. We'll make sure that's changed. That's embarrassing. Plus, there's also Bybit. I love using Bybit. All of these support leverage trading, but Bybit is a KYC requiring exchange. There are also way more deals on the Coin Bureau website. If you go to coinbureau.com and click on deals, you're going to see here the first thing that pops up is the Coin Bureau Club. This is access to their Discord server where they have tons of insights shared by my co-host Dan, as well as Guy and Nick from the main Coin Bureau channel. There are other exchanges to sign up for, other tools, other services, but there's also a 10% off discount for our course at the Better Traders called 15 Minutes to Financial Freedom. This is a brilliant course for anyone that's never really traded crypto, or you feel like you're still a beginner or a novice or like intermediate. This course goes through understanding how to take advantage of volatile crypto markets to make more money. It comes with one-on-one coaching. It comes with access to the TBO indicator, which we'll be talking about later. But this is a great course. Plus, it includes concepts on exit strategy, stuff that a lot of you don't really think about, which is kind of what we're talking about today. What's your exit strategy? What are things that you look for in exiting a position? Now, another clear thing that we can use are trend lines. trend lines are great ways to figure out, well, has the trend stopped? Is the trend dead? Is the trend done? So by using the hotkey Alt-T or Alt-T if you're on a Windows, Option-T if you're on a Mac, we want to identify the lowest low, and then we want to just draw it up to the next low. And this gives us a support line. Now, I do a fancy schmancy thing called support fans. And I think support fans work really well because they give me varying levels of support. It's difficult on a chart like this because it's on Ethereum, so the price action is not exact. But it gives us a good idea of where the trend is. And then we just keep doing the same thing over and over to find out where is our trend. Now, you don't have to get so fancy. You could even just use your eyes. And we can clearly see that there's a strong uptrend right here, and it clearly gets broken and rejected. Now, most people, when they're in this position, most people panic. Oh, that was weird. Something happened really wild there for a second. Hold on a second. There we go. Most people panic when we get these pullbacks, but the reality is that eventually the market recovers. The market actually moves up from here another 129%. So we will get initially shaken out. Well, weekends will get shaken out first, but eventually the market will recover. Then it'll fall lower. So once we break the trend, usually it's going to be a disastrous pullback because the market is overreacting to the move. But eventually we get some sort of bounce up. And this bounce right here is where a lot of people think, oh, we're going back up. No. I mean, even just this stupid little drawn line for a trend line, a support line, it's clear that support was broken. Now, if you're in a chart like this and the price action is skyrocketing day over day, 15, 20, 30, 22, 15, 39, this is what we call a parabola. The price here from the September the 25th up until October the 13th, a span of 18 days moved up 2,000%. These rallies are terrifying. It looks like it's fun to hold a coin during this, but the reality is that holding a coin during a mega rally like this is terrifying because you don't know if it's going to be a blow off top, yet it just keeps going up higher and higher and higher. Your confidence will get shaken out, especially on the first pullback, like right here at 14 cents, only for it to move up another 600%. The best thing to do in these situations is to wait for, just like back over here, a break of the trend and a push back up goes, okay, there we go, a buck. So riding this up from 5 cents up to $1, an incredible trade. Even down here, it's an incredible trade. But anytime your chart starts going parabolic, buckle up, buttercup, because it's eventually going to have some sort of whipsaw top. Now, when you have a parabola, it will be very hard to know when to sell. The best thing I do is I shave off anywhere between 10 to 30% after I've made back my position. Then I let the rest ride. So that means I don't have my full position if I have 90% or 70% left and I'm up 2,000%. It doesn't matter. If you're struggling with, I should have had 100% of my coins here up, and you're up 2,000%, you got a problem. You have an addiction, like Michael Jordan. Stop, please. Get some help. Okay? Now, when we see these trend lines broken, and this leads us to exactly where we are right now, this is where we need to pay attention. So we can see that there is a very, very, very decent chance that this is a parabola, although it's not the same type of parabola as we saw back over there. But I mean, 8%, 8%, 12%, 11%, not really a parabola. We'd want to see just like boom, 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 boom. But look at the direction and the angle of this. It's going up a lot. So there's a good chance that SPX, as bullish as it is, it could break this trend. Another thing to pay attention to as well with this chart is even on the daily, you can clearly see that we have all of these, what I call lower wicks. And they're at these big lows. And they just keep going higher and higher and higher. And see all these little lows? Actually, it's a lot easier to see on the 4-hour time frame. And on the 4-hour time frame, I need to hide stuff to make this a little bit easier to see. But you can clearly see here, we're just seeing the price of SPX being bought up more and more and more and more. Now, the big thing that will happen is when we see this trend of higher lows being broken. That's another thing to pay attention to. And this is going to be more evident on a 4-hour time frame. So that means seeing the low here of SPX drop, taking a bigger hit, because we usually don't see that. It'll happen sometimes, but seeing these big lower wicks, like seeing a lower wick reach down here to like $1.34 or going down here to $1.28, that will be a sign. And what will happen? See a wick like this, and then we'll see a bounce back up. Now, this is the 4-hour time frame, so things are going to happen faster on the 4-hour. We really want to wait for the daily time frame to get that confirmation. But there's another thing to pay attention to. Another thing to pay attention to is volume. I'm not even getting into paid indicators right now, guys. This is all stuff you can do. It's price-based resistance. It's the trend, seeing if the trend is showing signs of weakness, and also looking at volume. This is a free indicator that's available through the Better Traders called TBT Base to Quote Currency Converter. I know, it's such a lovely title, but essentially just automatically converts the base currency, which is Bitcoin, and the quote currency, which is stablecoins. So to add this, you hit the rocket icon, you add it to your favorites, boom, you get access to it, done. This is great because it also has a moving average, which is so helpful in understanding the strength of the trend. Again, free. So when I see, or let me back up. Over here, when we saw this rally getting started, back over here in early May, this is when I was getting really excited because anytime we see volume overwhelming the moving average and the moving average starts to curl up like that, that's a great sign right there that it should continue to move up higher. Take note of the date, the 21st of May. And we saw it move up from the 21st of May here, 80 cents, going all the way up here to $1.71. And we're continuing to see volume perform really, really well. So the main thing I'll be watching is, are we going to see a spike in volume, which we definitely did, 4 times the volume? And are we going to see volume start to fall from there? We are starting to, although it's too early to call it. But once we start to see volume reach these huge highs and it starts falling off, that's a sign that there's not as much demand, not as much strength. Case in point, back over here, looking at January, see big volume coming in, big volume coming in, big volume coming in. There's our big one right there. A little over 3 times the volume, the average, which is the yellow moving average right there. And then we see day over day, the volume is dropping more and more. And we can see price action falling more and more as well. We want to be mindful of that. We want to look for those peaks in volume and in euphoria. I don't necessarily think that we're there yet, but having this huge peak of 4 times the normal average, and we're not really wildly exceeding it anymore, you kind of get the formula. Now, of course, we could use the TBO, which is a trend-based indicator. And one of the things that I would use for this, and I'm saving this for last because not all of you have access to it, but one of the things I pay attention to are these blue diamonds right here. These are TBO Close Longs. They let me know well after the fact that the bullish trend could be switching to a bearish one soon. Therefore, consider taking out some profits from our open long, open way back over here, if we haven't already. So we're up 68%. If we haven't taken out profits yet, consider doing so because we should be seeing the trend flip bearish, which is confirming bearish here on the 5th of February. And we all know what happens after this. Even though we get a bounce to the upside, it falls another 60%. So with that in mind, here's our open long back over here on the 29th of April. So the price is up 160% or so. It could continue to rip higher. We don't have any of these blue diamonds yet. So there are other indicators that you could use as well that are free, like the Ichimoku clouds, like moving averages, which are great, especially for identifying pullbacks. And another reason why I like this indicator is I can gauge the strength of the trend with all 4 of these moving averages, but they're not all 4 pointing up anymore. But when all 4 are pointing up, you better believe that that trend is massively strong, especially if there's these white dots, the breakouts, like we've just seen literally on this chart. So when I see all 4 of these lines, all 4 moving averages really pointing up strong, that's a sign of encouragement that, yeah, we have a really strong uptrend. So we have those same white lines, those same white dots back over here and back over here as well. So I am personally expecting SPX to go up a lot higher. Now let's apply the same thinking, the same logic to some of these charts. We'll work backwards. We're going to go to KAIA next. This one is recently pumped. There's a lot of volume. Let me turn off the fibs just so we can work backwards, okay? So looking at the price, we've just started an uptrend for KAIA. Looking at levels of resistance, like we talked about before, there's clear resistance up here, above 40 cents. We're way, 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 way below that. So we don't have to worry about that necessarily. The next level that we could see resistance is going to be here and around the 20-cent range because of price action. So we're still not really even close to that. So KAIA is not really coming up against that kind of resistance. If we think about the trend, well, we had a pump, so the trend is like kind of up, but it's not really continuing to move up like it was initially when it was going parabolic. So we don't see that as a factor as well. Looking at volume. Volume for KAIA has picked up significantly after pumping massively, over 10 times, if not, 15 times the normal average of volume here on a single day. But what's happening with volume now? Volume is unfortunately dropping off. We're not seeing as much volume taking place on the chart, not as much buying happening. So while it could continue to push up higher, we're seeing a lack of volume. Looking at the TBO, I don't see any of those blue dots yet. It could and should, in my opinion, continue to move up higher, but there are clear signs that strength is waning on KAIA. Bitcoin Cash is actually in a really good uptrend right now. Not as wild as SPX, but if we look again, doing the same things, we're going to go ahead and identify resistance up here at 720 and then 600. So it's a really wide range of resistance. It's okay if resistance is really big like that. We're not up there yet, which is cool. We're looking at the price and we're seeing a nice uptrend. All right, so it's pretty strong there. I'm not seeing any signs of weakness in that sense. There could be, there we go, this trend right here that it's going to be coming up against soon for Bitcoin Cash. Volume-wise is dead. There's no overwhelming demand here for volume. So that's a mark against it. In regards to the TBO, we already had a blue diamond. It's not really a great look, but it's not bad either. But if I had to pick between these three, I would pick SPX. Even though it's at resistance, volume says, oof. And like everything else says, oof, that looks great. But Bitcoin Cash, while it could move up higher, I don't know about that. Now let's apply the same thing again to Ethereum. We all know that Ethereum is struggling right now in this sideways range, but where is it really going to find resistance? That's right. Up here, north of $3,800 up to $4,200. We're not there yet. Let's look at the trend. Is there a trend? Yeah, there's a trend. It's pretty strong in the up direction. Like that's crazy. It kind of is holding to a trend. The main thing I dislike about this chart is the scale of this uptrend. And the longer that Ethereum continues to chop sideways and not pump higher, the more it runs the risk of breaking this level. And that will be bearish. It will dump from there. Now, as far as overhead resistance, nothing like that in play, nothing to worry about. Volume is trending down. It's not really exciting anymore. It was back over here, but it's fallen off since. But we haven't seen wild volume. In regards to the TBO, we haven't seen any TBO close longs, none of those blue diamonds, but it's still struggling quite a bit. Kind of get how this works? Last one, BTC. So is Bitcoin struggling at historical resistance? Yeah. Yes, it is. It's still struggling at this range here from 108,000, 109,000. Yes, it put in some new highs, but it still continues to struggle. Is this in an uptrend? Yeah, it is. Does it have some sort of apparent uptrend right now? Yeah, and it was broken actually here. And right over here, it was broken as well. It's kind of sort of holding on to it right here, but not really doing a great job of it because it's already broken below it. How about volume? Is volume really overwhelming? Not really. There's no real demand for Bitcoin like there is for all these other charts. And what about the TBO? Do we have those blue diamonds on the chart? We have one back over here. So if I were to rank these in terms of bullish to bearish, more upside potential, To be honest, I would do something like this. While I think Bitcoin can continue to move up higher, it's struggling right now. No, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to do it like this. So this is how I would rank these, again, just off the top of my head. There's no like, okay, you have to follow this exact methodology. This is the only way to do it. But these are main central points of identifying resistance. You want to look for historical price-based resistance. You want to identify the trend. And when those trend lines are broken, how does the market react with the pullback? Do you see that recovery bounce back up so you can exit, or does it just tank? What's volume looking like? Are you seeing consistent, steady volume coming into the chart? What about other indicators like the TBO? Are we seeing signs that the chart is really starting to look weak, like those TBO Close Longs? So again, we don't have to use the TBO because a lot of you don't have access to it. You do get access when you sign up for 15 minutes to financial freedom, again, with that 10% coupon, but you can use moving averages. You can use the Ichimoku cloud. The idea remains the same. Pay attention to the trend, pay attention to volume, pay attention to price, especially those price boxes that you can identify from previous tops. The main thing is, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now, I've already talked about taking profits, how I take profits here on this channel. And I want to have you watch that video next, because if you're feeling like, okay, I got the idea, I got the gist of it, but I'm not sure how to approach profit taking, I want you to watch this video. It's going to pop up right here. And until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.